Los Angeles, I'm and most Hollywood nights. She goes to California, oh, California.
What you say about Los Angeles?
LA got the people saying,
Los Angeles.
You're listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Welcome to Corner of the Galaxy, the show that talks 100% LA Galaxy soccer. We're glad you could join us. Now it's time to sit back and relax as your hosts navigate through the twisting, turning, but never boring world of your six-time MLS Cup champion, LA Galaxy. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. I'm your host, Josh Guesman, coming to you on a Thursday, January 8th. That's right, it's a Thursday show. Why not? Our first one of 2026. You know, if the LA Galaxy can put out a logo with 6 stars, we can do a show on a Thursday. If the LA Galaxy could possibly be re-signing Matheus Nascimento, then we can do a show on Thursday. The Galaxy want to play a game on Halloween at 2 p.m., then we can do a show on Thursday. By the way, has anybody been watching Animal Control, and is there another season? Don't tell me. I watched all the seasons. You'll ruin it for me. All right. Joining us, and we're glad to have him back. We hope that he's still well in tune here. It is Mr. Eric, the Portuguese Hammer Vieira. Hammer, sir, good evening to you, sir.
Good evening to you. We're back. Happy New Year. I ask with a question mark. Is 2026 over before it started? Again, wild news to start our, what is it, your 18th season here. So, crazy times. But yeah, I'm here. We're ready to have some LA Galaxy talk. It's a new year, a new season, and we have a lot to talk about, oddly enough. When you would think an off-season show when maybe it's quiet, wouldn't be tons, maybe a little bit of filler to kind of ease our way back into the year. But I think we have a lot of topics, but fun times.
I'm glad you think that there are a lot of topics. There are plural topics, that's for sure. I don't know how long they were going to go out. By the way, have you seen Animal Control? I need to focus on this.
Not my thing. Not Animal Control. Yeah.
So recently on Netflix, right? It was one of those recently added.
Joel
Netflix.
McHale, correct?
Okay. So I have a friend who I grew up with. We have to talk about this. Listen, first of all, there's not that much news, so you all can hang in there for me for a little bit. I have a friend who I grew up with, one of my best friends, and for whatever reason, Joel McHale reminds me of this friend, right? So like anything Joel McHale is in, I'm usually Community, obviously, is the big Joel McHale shout out as far as I'm concerned. But he's doing Animal Control. I thought it was going to be a filler show in the background. I have laughed out loud at this show so many times. There's an opening. It's
always nice when those happen.
There's an opening with raccoons at a bowling alley, and they're getting the radio call over the truck saying, hey, there's raccoons at a bowling alley. And then the follow-up is, and it looks like they're inebriated, right? So now you have drunk raccoons at a bowling alley. It's comedy gold.
Yeah, what more do you want from a show? Yeah, I love when you get a little surprise hit like that, and it's kind of an old school show, right? It's something, out of the Parks and Rec type, office type of deal. So it's always nice to see those kind of make a comeback.
Yeah. By the way, it's Eric's first show of 2026. People are like, first show, it's Eric's. He is here. So I was
gonna say, you guys, and maybe that's why I feel like there's a lot of topics I haven't talked about, a lot of the news and things that have happening. So I feel like I, have a buildup of things to talk about. But you've been doing it. You've been getting after it with the Panda, just doing those shows and getting the news out there. So maybe that's why I feel the way I feel.
Yeah, it is certainly an interesting time to be an LA Galaxy fan. Certainly interesting a time to cover the LA Galaxy. I would like to give me 1 second, if you don't mind. Would like to shout out the LA Galaxy. Sent me a nice little DOP kit. I don't know if you can see this. I mean,
look at that.
By the way, followed it up with a little gear packet that looked exactly like this. I'm going to use both of these. So thank you, LA Galaxy, for being so kind.
Perfect.
And considerate to me.
I did look inside, did not find Ricky's ACL. So unfortunately,
they're giving those away. Yeah,
you can't find one of those. Can't take it on a travel trip with you. I heard in the Discord today that ACL jokes are too soon, and I think they're right on time. There's some dark humor certainly involved within what the LA Galaxy are going through this year. I mean, Eric, you were on the text pretty fast whenever we found out about Ricky's second ACL surgery. Where does that, you're a couple days removed, so you're not, I don't know. I think everybody went through doom and gloom, including, I think the LA Galaxy front office went through doom and gloom, and now they're like, I think they're back into kicking butt and taking names and sort of going through, okay, regroup, here we go, let's go, right? The whole deal. Everybody's allowed that one day where you're upset. Whenever I'd lose a soccer game, my dad told me I had to drive home to be upset, and then you got to clear it out of the memory.
You get your moment. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to be angry, but then you gotta move on eventually.
You absolutely do. Thoughts on the whole Riqui Puig situation?
At first, it was one of those where I didn't want to believe it when I saw the Tom Bogert news, hearing rumblings that there may be a second surgery. It's like, okay, well, maybe did he get bad intel? But then you think it's Tom Bogert. He wouldn't put that out there unless there were some serious, sources behind it. And so your heart kind of sinks, especially after the season that they had last season. I believe you and Kevin talked about this, where part of the reason why they had such a bad year last year is because they were missing Riqui Puig. So this buildup, when's he coming back? And then he's posting on social media, is getting ready for training. Is he almost back? We're moving towards a place where he maybe is seeing on the field action. He's at the games. He's cheering on the team, and you kind of had this buildup. Okay, he's going to come back and maybe play a few games at the end of the season. And then, okay, that doesn't happen. Then, okay, in the offseason, we're going to get to see him maybe in one of these friendlies. That doesn't happen. Okay, now the return. We're billing it. We're getting ready when, 2026 comes back. Opening day, Riqui will be ready to go. And then, right as the new year happens, you get the news that he's going to need a second surgery. And not only that, but he's officially out for all of 2026, and he won't be available until 2027. So that's just an absolute gut punch, especially after the season that they had last year. So I think that you go through all of the emotions because you think, okay, well, now they're in a bad situation. They don't have their number 10. They don't have their playmaker. They seem to have bolstered the defense, and that seemed to be something that they fixed. And now we're back to not having someone pulling the strings. Right. And so that makes you feel, okay, now we're at a disadvantage here. But then I flipped again. And now that I've processed it, I think, wait a minute, you have a DP slot now. Right. Now you have the ability to go out and to go and find a playmaker, to find a number 10, someone who could fill that role, who could pull the strings. And now this is something that you didn't have going into it. So you're almost, I don't want to say in a better situation, but you get a new life breathed into you because you can go out and get someone new and kind of build a new style around it with the core that you already have. So I've kind of turned the corner where now I'm looking forward to see who it is that they're going to bring in, because you have to bring someone in at this point to fill that gap. And so it's just that excitement. You don't know until you get there, just like kind of the Justin Hack signing. I'm not going to pretend to, be 100% familiar with his game, following the Galaxy as closely as I do. I'm not going to say that was a household name that everyone should know, but people who do know are excited about that. And people who saw him play for NYCFC say that that's, one of the stellar signings that you can get. So that makes you excited. But until we see him on the field, that's when you're going to kind of make it work. So it's the same thing. I'm waiting for this new DP that's going to show up, and who are they going to go after? What are the rumors that are going to start flying around? And we'll see who that ends up being. And then we won't have that excitement until we actually see some of that product on the field.
Yeah, I know. It's all sort of, well, and will the LA Galaxy actually spend to do it too? The Galaxy have never failed to spend. I would find that doing it now would be difficult to sort of say, oh no, we're not going to. We're going to sit on that and do that. But yeah, it's going to have to be adjustment period. I think, if you want to be cup half full, the way the Galaxy finished out the last season, you're like, okay, they were playing better than they were at the beginning of the season. Maybe they did learn how to play without Riqui Puig. Now do they just need somebody who can pull the 10 pieces or the 10 strings a little bit better? And if you get somebody who's a decent fit at that position, does that solve a lot of the problems?
Just an upgrade. Yeah. It doesn't have to be a Riqui impersonator. You need just someone who can ball.
Yeah. By the way, John Cena Dodgers, who's in our chat room, had the great one. The Galaxy once convinced me to pay $250 to watch the Galaxy lose 7-0 to Manchester United at the Rose Bowl. So anything that happens now can't reach that level. It's like I've been in the ditch. I've been in the gutter. I've seen it. You know, the
rumor has it they're still playing "Glory, Glory, Man United" over the speakers at the Rose Bowl.
Man, I remember doing shows after that, and people were like losing it. I'm like, who cares? Like, it was all. I'm like, I can't. It was a whole deal. So, but no, yeah, it's a different way to sort of look at it. I think I'll tell you, we were certainly kicking things around in the chat with you, me, and Sophie that we have, and I don't know that I can get excited about too many sightings, right? Like, there's not too many things that was sort of, I'm like, yeah, I mean, you know, Lewandowski is certainly something.
That's the dream for me, but then that doesn't solve the problem.
That doesn't solve any problems, right? But, you know, that would be a really interesting move. Plus, it seems like he's pretty much locked into Chicago. I mean, has been turning down deals, and going to Chicago seems almost like a lock now at this point. So I'm like, okay, that sounds good. You know, I think Mo Salah looks like he's pretty much possibly could end up in San Diego, which would be crazy to see that.
I didn't hear that. I mean, dude, I figured that he's got legs in him for Europe still, but yeah, that's crazy times.
Maybe not right away, but something, yeah.
At some point.
Yeah, watching some different ones. And, you know, sort of watching those. But there's one name that has me semi-excited that if the Galaxy could pull it off, I would be like, that's impressive. And that's Weston McKennie right now. Apparently not coming back to Juve, excuse me. I know how to say it, promise. Not going back to Juventus, saying he won't sign a contract. That's a guy who clearly I think has legs for Europe and probably can find a place to land and do a whole bunch of things. So if you were able to pay him a whole bunch of money, and then you have somewhat of a midfield figured out for the next 4 years, 5 years type thing, people ask, and actually the Panda and I had this discussion today because he called me. We were having a little discussion, and he goes, and he's like, well, who are you going to find for 1 year? And I'm like, didn't we go over this on the podcast? The 1 year thing is like, that's like a unicorn. You're not going to find a unicorn. If you do, good job, right? Like, hey, good, you found a guy who really wants to play for 1 year and then leave and not be an issue. But for me, and I don't speak on behalf of the Galaxy or anybody in the front office, and I haven't discussed this with anybody, but for me is worry about 2027 and 2027. You can't predict what Riqui's going to be able to do when you get to 2027. So don't be counting your chickens with everything that's going on. So I would certainly think that there is a chance for the LA Galaxy. And like I said, I think on Monday's show, which is think to the future, think big. Yeah. Don't pretend like Riqui's not here, because you don't know if he's coming back. There is nothing now that guarantees his success from this next surgery. So that would be my hope. The Galaxy look past Riqui Puig for right now and go into the next sort of step, which sucks because Riqui Puig could be one of the most exciting players in Major League Soccer if he can come back in any sort of, you know, good point.
Yeah, and so I'm with you on that, and I didn't want to beat the dead horse there because I'm aligned 100%. I think anyone who's saying, how do you find a person for 1 year? I think that's not the mentality you should go into this. It's who can we go find a DP, and whatever contract length gets a player at the level of a Weston McKennie. To me, that it's shades of Landon Donovan, you know, kind of, you have someone who's a U.S. national team star, someone who's a recognizable face. You can sell jerseys. You can put them on the posters.
Doing it ahead of the World Cup is gigantic, right?
Yes. So I think that's something that gets eyeballs on the LA Galaxy. And you mentioned something about, are the Galaxy going to be, you know, afraid to spend, and they never have been afraid to spend. But I think this year, especially being a World Cup year, eyes are going to be on the United States and North America with the World Cup here. And so you want to build on whatever momentum that is. So whatever, you know, if the national team makes a run and you're able to have a Weston McKennie, you could say, hey, you know, that, you know, U.S. men's national team that made a run in the World Cup, you can watch them on, you know, Apple TV, on, you know, the MLS package or whatever you have going. So I think it's smart for the Galaxy to not be afraid to go after someone and spend some money, because I think the long-term benefits are going to get there. And then you're right. When you get to 2027, you figure that out there. You talked about it. You know, Peck could be someone who's you could sell and move on from there. Paintsill, depending on how the season he's you know, mentioned and kind of hinted that maybe he still has a hankering to go still play in Europe. So maybe Paintsill is someone you can offload. Riqui Puig, again, I don't know who's going to come knocking after 2 ACL surgeries, so that you may be locked into that. But you can you can move other pieces around to make it work. And I think you guys nailed it again with the Zlatan, Giovanni Dos Santos. They had both those players, and you had to figure it out, and you'll figure it out later. Let's get our players in right now to have a successful season, a la 2024. They didn't worry about 2025 because they went all in to go and get that MLS Cup, and it paid off, but you paid the tax in 2025.
It's one of those things as well that, you could see possibly MLS adding more roster rules and more another DP. There's
That
lots of
fourth
things.
DP, there it is. Yeah.
And there's lots of things that could happen that you can't predict. But I think standing pat at this particular time is not something that it's going to go with. Maurice, by the way, $5 super chat says LA needs another Shaq. Raheem Shaquille Sterling, he's a 10, needs minutes. Chelsea co-owner Todd Bowley is also co-owner of Dodgers and Lakers, which wouldn't necessarily line him with the LA Galaxy, but still certainly there. So why not? Sterling, that's one of those.
I was gonna say Chelsea have all the to pick your Chelsea players who you want to offload. They're like they're like a private equity group that is selling off all the real estate to make it work. They're kind of a mess. So maybe there is something there to buy, but who knows what's happening with Chelsea and their players that they have there.
So that's certainly the thing. I mean, one of the things that we teased at the start, and certainly was there is a report that Matheus Nascimento is coming back now. Why does this fit into talk about Riqui Puig? Let's discuss a little, so maybe we can make some sense. One is that it's Christian Ramirez, who is a reporter in Brazil, and he has announced basically the Galaxy has renewed the loan of Matheus Nascimento. The center forward will continue in MLS after the Los Angeles club reached an agreement with Botafogo. Now, Botafogo has all sorts of issues right now, financial issues. They owe, I can't remember which MLS team they owe $30 million to, but
they're saying Thiago Almada. Shout out to Charlie Sandoval in the chat, $5 super chat. So it sounds like Botafogo is having financial issues paying Thiago Almada, and then we could take him on a 1-year loan, and it's a win-win for both teams. So you're right. So it's right there. You kind of said it, and it's in the chat as well.
Right, and thank you for that $5 super chat. I appreciate that. A 1-year loan and that type of thing. But the other real big issue for them is that it seems like they might also be on a transfer ban of some sort because they owe money. I think it's to Atlanta or somebody who they bought something for. They owe them $30 million, right? So that's basically where that's coming down to. So I mean, we can here's the thing. If we look at the offseason and we had the big exit interviews, one of the things the LA Galaxy said during that press release is that they would negotiate to try to bring Nascimento back. This, of course, cued my question to Greg Vanney, which was, you brought Christian Ramirez back. This was after, by the way, Greg Vanney went on about how they need to get better at striker over the offseason, and it wasn't a short answer either. That was a long discussion that Greg Vanney had with us about getting better at striker. It's a Greg answer, right? Which, by the way, we all love Greg answers. It's not a criticism. I enjoy them. Like, I would so rather have that sometimes than Bruce Arena's no, and it's like, oh, thanks, Bruce. Appreciate that. But Bruce is fun in his own way too. But Greg went on and on about, I don't want to beat a dead horse because I'm actually going to try to speak positively about the LA Galaxy's two strikers, it seems though right now. But, talking about needing somebody.
You have to go to the games.
Yeah, I do. He talked about having to be more mobile with Christian Ramirez. Then he talked about needing that goal hunger from Nascimento. And it sort of seemed like Greg was like, I'm kind of whatever on either of them, right? It wasn't too high. That, of course, came back whenever I said, you're bringing back 2/3 of the striking core whenever you do that. I mean, somebody called Miguel Berre, but he's not too far away. You could get him on there, and then it'd be 3 for 3. Everything would be exactly the same in the striker core. So I wonder what they're going to change. I wonder if everybody makes it to the roster. I wonder if that's true. If this is indeed true. Now, there's some little technicalities on this as well. It seems like the loan may only be until the summertime. Not a bad move for Nascimento, although this may end up showing that it's like a loan for the next year and a half, which gets them to the next summer of the transition between the two seasons, right? So
the shortened season, yep.
Right. So those are certainly ideas for that. And so if Nascimento comes back, what does that say about the LA Galaxy? I don't know it says anything. I will say this, that it may be that putting these pieces like Christian Ramirez in and Nascimento in and giving them another run is, as I stated on this podcast heading, which was this is the redemption tour for the strikers, right? It's like, hey, come on out. And let's be more positive. Let's be on the positive side of things if we want for a little bit. Nasi had, 4 goals, 3 assists, not to mention 3 goals, 1 assist in Leagues Cup as well. it's not horrible for a guy who got, under 1,200 minutes, played in 22 games, only started 13 of those, really, and most of those were down the stretch because he looked like a lost young animal at the beginning of the season. That was something Damian Calhoun and I used to talk about, was looking at Nascimento, was sort of like, everybody was like, you can't play him because we watched him play at the beginning of the year and you were like, no, we're not there yet. Like, he's not ready.
Don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it. Right. And then he came in and he started playing better. And you're like, okay, now it's time. Now you've gone through all the steps. It looks like you got there. So I'll say this does at least reiterate in my mind that the LA Galaxy are still looking at replacing a number 10, replacing Riqui Puig, and doing that, because I don't know that you could bring back the same guys and expect something different if you don't change something in the midfield. That being said, the loan deal for Nascimento, if it only goes to this summer, would certainly indicate that the LA Galaxy might have something else planned for the summer.
Yes.
Okay.
And it shows the tips the hand that they may have other plans if it's only a 6-month loan, because one, it didn't seem, are we done being positive?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, we can wipe that away.
Okay. So, it tips the hand that maybe they have other things in the work, because it didn't seem like they were excited to bring back Nascimento. If they wanted to offer him a contract, they would have offered him a contract and figured out some type of deal. The fact that it's a loan also hints, hey, we're not interested in a long-term, relationship with Nascimento. We want just someone who is familiar with Greg Vanney, familiar with the LA Galaxy, and is just going to be there to kind of get things through. And so that's where I am coming from, kind of the negative side of it. You said, oh, not that bad, 4 goals and 3 assists in 22 games. That's a goal every 5 games,
right, roughly.
And for a starting striker, that's not good enough. And I know there's the conversation, well, who's going to pass on the ball? How do you expect the striker to score if you don't have the pieces there? Strikers score goals. They find ways to score goals. And I think it is a little bit of both. You do need someone to feed him, but at the same time, this doesn't excite me. I'm like, wow, great, we got Nascimento coming back. I was happy to wave goodbye again. I don't have to show up at the stadium and ask him questions after the game, but I was happy to wave him goodbye and say, okay, good luck at Botafogo, and hopefully you figure it out. But you weren't able to figure it out here, and I don't see it. So maybe, like you said, it's a redemption tour. They have some some more time, some more understanding of the system, and he won't look as lost in the first half of those games, and maybe he can nab a few more goals. But I don't know that the rate skyrockets to where you say he's our number 1 striker and we're going all in on him. Dejan Joveljic was someone who I had question marks on,
right?
But the goals were there. He had the resume to say, hey, you may have doubts, but I've shown you that I can put the ball in the back of the net, and I just don't see that with Nascimento. So I think that does tip the hand. We'll see what the final loan looks like. But if it is 6 months, that tells me Will Kuntz and the front office have someone in the summer, and it's just a matter of surviving until then.
How do we get there?
Similar to what their plan was last season.
Joe in the chat room says, or is it a panic move and they have nothing else available and will wait till summer to find someone? I don't know that you can call it panic move, only because this is technically consistent with what they said from the offseason. They said that they would continue to negotiate with Botafogo and trying to bring Nascimento back. Supposedly there was a $7 million buyout for him. Certainly
that was never going to happen.
Yeah, not with his showing. It was like, okay, that's not there. But I do think that there's reason to be, just as you are with Sanabria, just as you are with, or have been sort of with Aude, and like you're sort of waiting. And by the way, Aude's been a very consistent player at a U22 spot for the LA Galaxy. But Nascimento come back. Now, before we get any further, I want to say this again. I believe that this is an accurate report. I have not received any confirmation from the LA Galaxy, who have circled the wagons. There's a circle of trust. All right, there's circle of trust. We're not in it right now. And you could understand certainly from their perspective of having this, I'll say it's sort of surprise from Riqui Puig that comes out of nowhere. They're sort of like, okay, if we're gonna get through this, we all got to be together, and we got to be quiet, and we got to figure out how we're gonna do this. Like, nothing else can go wrong, because this was a big thing that sort of fell off our plate.
That feels like the elephant in the room, where whatever relationships they may have had with media, that Tom Bogert bombshell, they were kind of like, all right, I guess we're not telling anybody anything. Nobody gets anything. No one gets any intel. This everything has to stay in house. Although based on, and maybe this is why everyone's kind of on the outs here. It seems like the Galaxy may have been surprised as well. And so that makes it interesting if we're questioning that, we're bringing that up, then that brings that doubt. And maybe that's not something that they want around their team right now.
Hey, it's all good. It is what it is. This is
and that's the thing. Whatever happened, and it's either going to come out or it's not going to come out. But the only thing that we can do at this point is speculate with the information that we have.
Yeah, which is not a lot, right? Yeah. So you can look at sort of Nascimento and what he can do. I mean, again, we can look at Nascimento. Let's look again real quick.
There it is. 4 goals, 3 assists. There it is.
I can't get super excited about that. But the .21 conversion rate, right? Christian Ramirez, 4 goals, 1 assist. Now, this is a guy who had success early, had some success in CONCACAF Champions Cup, right? He was scoring goals in those opening games when the Galaxy were looking really bad and getting blown out. So you sort of tend to offset his performances. But when you look at it, so what? He had 8 goals, 6 assists in 2024 with Columbus. I mean, that's a pretty good clip for a guy who played, who only started 16 games. So, I mean, that's not a bad look. The 5 goals, and then I think he may have picked up 1 or 2 in Leagues Cup, something like that. I can't remember exactly because I was trying to look at it. I think Nascimento got most of the starts. But you look at Christian Ramirez, technically speaking, I guess the 4 goals is actually more than average for sort of what he's put together. If you look, I mean, outside of the 14
games played,
outside of the 14 goals that he had in 2017 when he was, with Minnesota and coming up as this crazy sort of call-in for the U.S. men's national team and just like a whole bunch of things that happened. The 4 goals isn't completely out of character for him, and he only started 10 games.
I think that's the bigger thing. And why, if I'm going to look at Nascimento and Ramirez and who's going to have the redemption tour, I would put my eggs more in the Ramirez basket just based on his history. I'm a believer of, form is temporary, class is permanent. And Ramirez is someone who knows how to score goals. Mm-hmm. He's proven it that he knows how to put the ball in the back of the net. I don't know that we have that resume or that background for Nascimento. Now, I'm not saying, he's, a world's best 11 striker, Ramirez here, but he is someone who knows how to score goals in Major League Soccer. And I think it's just a matter of getting in the groove again, getting hot. We saw it at the beginning of the season. He scored those 4 goals in pretty quick succession. He was feeling himself. He was in that rhythm. And then for whatever reason, he fell out of that rhythm. But I think he's capable of finding a rhythm. So I'm going to be very transparent here. I'm not excited about either one of them as your number 9. I thought we were going to go out and spend and get a striker and figure out someone new who was going to come in and figure things out. But if I have to put my eggs in a basket, I would think that Ramirez may be, maybe the guy who's more capable of putting in the back of the net. But that also is interesting because towards the end of the season, the one who was getting all the starts was Nascimento. So who knows where Greg Vanney's thought process is going to be on who's going to start these games.
That was somebody said on Twitter today was sort of like, oh, well, clearly Ramirez is going to start Nascimento. I'm like, wait, I don't know that.
That's not how it ended last season, when they were playing better.
It was also a point of discussion in the Discord that maybe the Galaxy don't need strikers this year. Maybe they're going to play... Maybe they're going to play Peck and Paintsel up as a 2-forward system, and you're going to have 5 in the midfield, and you're going to use your wing backs to sort of get out there, and you're going to use your defenders down the 3. That certainly is a good argument. I will say this. I don't know, and this is not a knock. I would expect as a head coach that you would not be so set without sort of seeing what this version of the team looks like, that you would be like, this is absolutely how we're playing. I think that there are options for Greg Vanney, and I think that Greg Vanney will use the preseason to sort of sort out some of those options and be like, hey, maybe because we don't have Riqui Puig, we don't have a super strong midfield in there, but we're going to have a destroyer like Sanabria in there, or we can move Hack up, or, Sanabria and Cerrillo together are going to be sort of this good combination we have. We're going to Marco Royce in the center, and maybe he's our 10 that we're going to try to rely on a little bit more, but we don't need him 100% because we're going to have wing backs, and we're going to have 2 strikers with Peck and Paintsel running up and not having to play a whole bunch of defense and doing all sorts of stuff like that. Maybe he finds a good balance in there that they're sort of like, no, I think we're good, and we're going to try to figure that out as we go on. The Nascimento, if the loan is correct, and again, I couldn't get any verification on this, if the loan is correct and it's just a summer, is an interesting move. I don't know what it's, I don't know. The only thing I think it says is we think we might have a shot at something in the summertime. We don't know. it's not 100%, and we need somebody to help us, and Nascimento is perfectly fine. And maybe this is one of the things that as soon as Nascimento gets here, the LA Galaxy worked out a new buy option or something like that, and they're able to buy him for $1.5 million instead of $7 million or something like that.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is our U22, we're going. If Nascimento is indeed coming back, this does end the U22 debate, though, because you will have all of your U22 spots are unavailable. So you'll have Sanabria.
If a DP comes back as well, right? Because we're assuming if a DP doesn't come back, then you could do another.
You could
U22,
do another U22. Yes.
That doesn't feel like that's in the Galaxy's cards. To the 6-month loan piece of it, we talked about how they may tip the hand that they have options or irons in the fire for a striker. I think signing 2 center backs also is a little bit of tipping the hand as well, that maybe they are going to play more defensive, and maybe that striker that I was excited for and that the Panda was excited for, maybe they were never coming,
right,
and that you were going to build around playing a more defensive style and build the wall back there. And maybe someone like a Marco Reus, who maybe you don't need him to play the 10 as much, maybe you play him as your false 9, your striker who, is more, you just rely on him to talk about a guy who knows how to put the ball in the back of the net. Marco Reus knows how to score. So if you play him in a kind of a pseudo striker role, and then maybe just build a bunch of defense behind that and let, Peck and Paintsell on the wings figure things out, and then figure out some way to kind of get it up to him. I don't hate that strategy either.
Well, remember, I said everybody's coming back. So obviously Tyler Boyd released by Nashville. So everybody's like, bring Tyler Boyd back to the LA Galaxy.
Julian Araujo, right?
Julian Araujo.
Wilfred Nancy was let go. So maybe Araujo, comes back home from Celtic. So who knows what happens here.
I think there were some shouts for Giassi Zardes and Sebastian Lletget.
I'm ready. I'm ready for it.
People, and by the way, in my own Discord, how dare they, were like, I go, what about Dan Stairs? And they're like, nah, that's okay. I'm like, well, excuse me? Dan Stairs, the guy who won the LA Galaxy the 2024 MLS Cup by scoring against
play image striker,
right? He
can get ahead on the ball,
100%. So that's the thing. I think it's interesting because we ended the season sort of having some of these absolutes where we're like, okay, the Galaxy are going to go out and get a new striker, and that's certainly the way I felt. And we're seeing that hasn't happened. And by the way, I don't know that it changed. It doesn't seem like it did. So, by the way, Commercial Underground says Nascimento may need to come at full salary. Only the first contract is eligible. The MLS will see the loan extension as part of the same contract. I can almost guarantee that. Okay. So I don't think you have to worry about that. The U22 side of that thing is pretty locked and loaded. I do not see the LA Galaxy going as a four U22 team and 3 designated players. I think it's just like anything. And there was this discussion in the Discord, which is, I think it's harder to build a 4 U22 competitive team because it's more difficult to know what young talent looks like. Yeah.
You're rolling the dice.
Yeah. And by the way,
can hit, but you can
hit.
You could miss.
Right.
Yeah.
100%. And with 4, you could miss on 1 and you could still be pretty good, right? But you're sacrificing a designated player, so you need 2 or 3 of those guys to really sort of play. And by the way, you're only getting 1 more U22 compared to somebody who has 3 DPs, and it's sort of like, okay, I don't know that that's a big enough trade-off for me to think that that's great. But as I also mentioned in the Discord, you never know what's going to happen with any talent. Riqui Puig is a lock in many times, right? You look at 2026, we all were like, 2026, Ricky's back, and now double ACLs, and nope.
They made a poster and everything, a promotional thing, the return with Riqui Puig ready to go, and then now up in smoke, all gone.
Yeah. I'll also say this. I think the LA Galaxy will come out of this just fine. I really do. I would be more concerned if this was a different management team. One of the reasons everybody's sort of flipping out too, if you've watched everybody that Miami's picked up and continue, they ended the season with like $2.3 million in general allocation money. They got more for winning, and they get a whole bunch of stuff. And everybody goes, why don't they have to get rid of everybody? Well, they had 2 pretty big stars who decided to end their career, so they're out. That
opens up, and that also opens up spots. Yeah,
that opens spots. The other thing is that apparently, and somebody said this on Twitter, I don't remember who it was, but it was, hey, so you want to play with Messi? It seems to be the easiest sell in the world because we're watching everybody
play for a carton of jelly beans. Yeah,
exactly.
That's
we're watching
fine.
everybody take salaries underneath. Yeah, I'm going to go to Miami. I have a good chance of winning another MLS Cup because I think that they do. You get to play with the greatest player who ever lived, arguably, but not arguably on this side of things. So you get to do that. They're getting ready to open new stadiums and sort of do the whole thing. They still have like this sort of the uptick. Now, I will say this: the other thing that they had going for them is they were a well-managed roster ahead of this as well. Yep. And so when you have control of the contracts, when you understand the turnover from year over year, when you have some consistency with who is managing and who is giving those contracts to understand what the long-term goals of the club are, you can have success year over year. We look at teams like Seattle is certainly a great point of that. Is that year over year, they understand what they're trying to do. They have consistency in thought and execution, and they don't panic buy. They don't get into situations because really they're sort of prepared for these situations. They know the turnover. They sort of understand the roster turnover that happens every year and how they can use that to their advantage, because there's an advantage to losing players too. And you want to be able to do that. Now, Miami could get stuck with some bad contracts or do some bad things, and then all of a sudden all that hard work sort of goes out the window because you're still cap limited at the end of the day, and there's not too much to do after a little bit of time. But they have that. Now, this is the same team, Miami, that got caught cheating before the LA Galaxy got caught cheating. Okay,
right? That's what I was going to say. Seattle was a much better comparison to sustained success over the course of a year. I think Miami, we know why why it's working out for them. You mentioned it. It's because they have that number 10 over there, and everyone's going to want to play with them. The league is going to do whatever they can to kind of support things. And the Galaxy benefited from maybe a little bit of that back in their heyday, and it just seems like all of the resources are going to, play in the favor of Miami. So I think it's not necessarily, hey, they're well managed. Well, if I were David Beckham and I had Lionel Messi on my team, it'd be pretty easy to manage a roster and figure things out as well. So I think you have to acknowledge that for what it is. Not saying, hey, they won. They played the game on the field, and they beat everyone on their path to get the cup, and you can't take that away from them. And sidebar on that, watching the MLS Cup final, sometimes the way that Messi in the media talks about MLS and some of the other players, you think that he feels like he's slumming it. And to be fair, he is. Yeah. But at the same time, to see what it meant to him, to see what it meant to Jordi Alba, you could tell they were excited to win MLS Cup. And I think that kind of validates, okay, they could be coming over here for the retirement, for the vacation, but at the same time, winning was important to them because these guys were winners. It's what they do. So I did enjoy seeing that. And so you have to give them credit, but I do think they benefit a lot of the rules and the structures that are obviously meant for them to benefit from.
Yeah, it's really great whenever you can be like, hey, do you want to play for Messi for some Cracker Jacks? That's really the big thing that's happening here is people are taking pay cuts. And Miami is using that. That's great. I mean, you get to, like you said, you walk in, you have a meeting with David Beckham, and then you go out and play with Messi. There's not too many boardrooms that you can worry about that, right? Yeah.
Where do I sign?
I'll pay for my own flights, right? The whole deal. David, by the way, $5 super chat. Is there a way LA Galaxy get Dejan Joveljic back? No. But as a DP and then buy out the Puig contract, no. One, Sporting Kansas City ain't going to give him out. And two is that you're not going to buy out Puig's contract. If things go poorly in 2027, even in the small season, you may see a mutual part. But if I'm Riqui Puig and things go poorly, I'm staying in there until my contract runs out. I get all that money. I mean, this is more serious than people want to be with this right now. But we are entering a spot now with Riqui Puig where his return is not guaranteed. And I don't think that, if you were there when he played against Seattle, you may have, this is not to be a doom scroller. I'm not trying to be a naysayer, but if you were there to watch that game in Seattle,
this.
Yeah, everybody, Josh Guesman says Riqui Puig will never play again. Here it comes. But I don't know that you can guarantee a return. You may have seen him play his last competitive minutes. If for some reason this ACL can't be repaired, how it is. I find it crazy that Riqui Puig had the surgery in Spain by the same doctor, and then it didn't work, and they goes to the same doctor again. I don't know why, but that is scary to me. And the fact it happened so quick, that's scary to me. By the way, there are plenty of outstanding ACL surgeons here in Los Angeles with all of the different sports teams that are there. Could have had it done here, went to Barcelona. I understand that too. Seems like he's a good doctor, but if it suddenly went bad, like, hey, Eric, I'm going to replace your tooth. All right, cool. Thanks, man. It's going to take about a year to heal. Okay, great. Whole deal. So you've been coming in for checkups every couple of months. You're like, tooth looks great. Tooth looks great. You're doing great. Great job. The whole deal. And then all of a sudden, a year later, I go, tooth has to come out. And you're like, what?
Wait,
you're
like, got me this one.
Yeah,
this one,
the same one, the whole deal. That's what makes me nervous about all that. So my thing is, you don't have to buy Puig out on contract. You don't have to do anything. You worry about 2027 when it comes about, and you see what you have to do then. When's the roster compliance date? That's when you need to know about what you need to do with any designated players or anybody else that you have there.
One more thing on the Puig side of it, and I think you're valid to say, we could have seen him play his last competitive minutes here. I think watching that video that he posted on social media was incredibly sad. You can tell that it's weighing heavy on him. You can tell that he doesn't look, happy about what's happening. Obviously, he's not happy about what's happening, but you can tell he almost looks defeated. Like, okay, this is the second surgery, and I think there's one thing. Okay, you get an ACL surgery. It's not uncommon to take a year to heal and to come back, and there's a road to recovery. But then the second year, now we're getting into the mental stress that this now puts on you. I saw a video, and I don't know how much I buy into it, but someone wanted to classify an ACL injury as a brain injury because of the psychological stress that it puts on you. I don't know that I agree with that. I don't think it's a brain injury, but the psychological impact is absolutely a real thing. And I think that's something that you need to keep an eye out for, that if one, physically the comeback was always going to be difficult, but then now you're 2 years removed from competitive play. And then you're weighing in the back of your head, now it didn't heal right last time. Is it going to heal right this time? That just creates a whole nother level of stress that I can't even imagine what that goes through for an athlete who wants to win and wants to compete. And I think that's why you saw it in his face, how defeated he was, because that it's just a brutal blow.
JT Marcinkowski level here now in terms of return. You want to ask somebody what it's like to just sort of have this sort of setback and long time off from playing soccer. JT is the guy who you can ask for that. No, I think it's again. Joe, by the way, in the chat room says still so many questions about why there was a second surgery. Like, did he get hurt again? Or if the first surgery wasn't successful, were there really no signs earlier? 100%. I would love to. I think these
are all questions we're asking ourselves.
Not only are these questions we're asking here, but it's questions that everybody's asking. And I don't know that there has been, outside of Ricky's statement, where basically the graft didn't take. Which is what he, I think, alluded to in his statement, that it didn't take and we have to do it again type thing. Outside of that, I don't know that there's been anything cleared. Now, should we look into that? I think without clear answers, you're certainly allowed to ask questions. So I have no problems with that. And I think everybody's sort of going to be in the same spot with that. And we'll know whenever the LA Galaxy get back into some sort of, media scrum for the first time, we'll be able to ask some questions to some people and do that, because I think that's all fair. Those are all fair questions to ask. So, it's crazy, but it's going to lead itself to speculation, and at this point, that's fine. That's sort of where I guess everybody wants it to be. So that was something there. The other thing was that David also had a $5 super chat. Why did the Galaxy pass on Walker Zimmerman? How many defenders do you want them to have, David? They already have one or two too many, depending on what formation that they have. They might have to go out. They miss out on a great player. I think, is he going to Toronto? Did I see that? Was that Toronto FC got Walker Zimmerman? I can't remember. I saw it earlier today.
Sure. I'm just going to agree with you. Yeah, sure.
Chat will check me. I was looking through some stuff. I had to write a proposal today, a technical proposal, which, by the way, they're worst in the world. So my brain is no longer working for the rest of the day. So it's certainly something that we could look at and sort of, try to figure out some of those different things that are going on with that. Okay, so we have that. That's sort of the Riqui side of things, and that's the Nascimento side of things. We now wait and sort of see what other moves the LA Galaxy make. I still think there's some fat to be trimmed off this roster, so I'm waiting for some departures. If that doesn't happen, then I think formation changes are coming, because to me, there's too many defenders for what they currently, if you're going to play in a 4-man back line, then there's too many defenders. If you're playing in a 5-man, we'll see. The LA Galaxy also participated in MLS Media Day. They used to have MLS Media Day sometime in New York, and then sometimes they would have it in Los Angeles. And now they just have it in Miami because they're hoping that Messi shows up. They're just like, please, could you show up, Messi? Please.
That only makes sense, yeah.
So Gabriel Peck was the LA Galaxy's ordained player to travel to MLS Media Day.
He was blessed. Yep.
I will say this. You can bet your bottom dollar it wasn't him until Riqui Puig had to get out for the ACL.
Yeah.
Because the return of Riqui Puig was what everybody was waiting for. Yeah. Here is Gabriel Peck. Looks like he was talking to Fox Sports there with the brand new stadium jacket, the strong, deep 3 stripes down the shoulder. And of course, the brand new what I'm going to call the missing man formation, the 6 stars above the LA Galaxy crest, which the LA Galaxy put out today. I'll read you the press release from the LA Galaxy. The LA Galaxy today unveiled a new 6-star decorated or 6-star formation on the club's Adidas kits, marking a historic evolution of the most decorated franchise in Major League Soccer. The updated design proudly honors the Galaxy's 6 MLS Cup champions, the most in league history, while ushering in a bold new era for the club. Displayed above the club crest, the 6 stars symbolize the Galaxy's championship pedigree and enduring standard of excellence. As a result of the 2024 MLS Cup victory and jersey production timelines, the 2025 formation has a silver star representing the Galaxy's 6th championship added to the top of the existing formation, signifying the Galaxy as the reigning champions for the 2025 season. But this time integrated into the sleek modern elements of both the home and away kits, the 6-star formation designed in collaboration with Adidas will feature 3 stars on each side of the crest, with all stars appearing in silver and equal to size to create a unified and modern look. Let's flash back to whenever the LA Galaxy said, so if we win 5, we just get 1 big gold star. Yeah, that's not happening. So,
I don't like that.
No.
Yeah.
Well, and by the way, who would like that? Right? That would so you win 5 and then you get 1 big gold star. The same gold star that the MLS defending champions have, by the way.
There is a solution to this.
Yes.
But shout out to whoever wrote that press release for the LA Galaxy. Again, there's only so much you can write, but I liked, the stars signify the championships. Yeah, I know. That's what the stars mean. We know that's what that signifies. And then of course they list out every single year that they won the championships. It's like, yeah, that's when you got the stars. Again, no offense to anyone who did that. There's only so much you could say about the star formation. It is the 3 and 3. I think that's the big news. Is you don't have one at the top for that symmetry. Well, it does have symmetry, but it feels like it's missing that peak, like you're saying.
It's just waiting for number 7. That's what I really. Yeah. This is like it's the 6 stars are a trophy holder for the 7 star, right? So,
but here's my solution to the 5-star thing.
Yes,
I think you're going to get to a point where if the Galaxy win a 7-star, it is going to look a bit ridiculous.
Yes.
So I don't hate the idea of the 1 gold star when you win 5, but I don't think you can do it on the 5th championship. I think you need to do it on the 6th championship. So once you have 5, then you do 1 and 1, and then for Cup winners, you can't put a gold star. You need to make it a big silver star or do put the Scudetto. I liked when they had that, have something there, in the interim to say that they won, but they get the silver star. I think you save the gold stars and make them a little bit bigger. I don't hate the idea when you get to 6, but having 5 and only having 1 looks silly. But if you have a gold and a silver, you can do the math and kind of figure it out.
Here's my problem is that no team is ever going to willingly downgrade the number of stars on their kit, right? Like, because there's too many similarities whenever you look at other teams. It's like, oh, well, you have 2 stars. Well, they have 2 stars. So wait, no, this stands for 6. Don't you understand? Hold on, person who doesn't
Roman numerals, yeah.
Hold on, person who doesn't watch MLS all the time. Let me explain to you what the stars mean. I know you just want to count them, but let me explain how it is. No marketing team, no professional sports team is ever going to be like, nope. Not. Hey, by the way, for the Lakers banners, there's too many hanging in the rafters. Can you condense those into one?
You know what? I'm gonna take the L on that.
Okay, thank you.
Because I said it's gonna get a little bit ridiculous when you have too many stars, but that comment right there, the Lakers, the Staples Center, Crypto Forum, it looks ridiculous with that many banners hanging in the rafter. Yeah, you're right, and that's the way it should be. You're right.
It is ridiculous.
May we be blessed with a jersey completely covered in stars.
Covered in stars. People are like, how many do they have? Like, I don't know, but it's a lot.
I don't know. They just keep adding them.
They're in rows, and you got to multiply by 2 whenever you do it.
You know what? A hand up on that one. That one's on me.
Philip goes,
I was wrong.
Just 6 big stars. Just. I think they should be placed.
Make the stars bigger each year. So the more you have, the bigger the stars are.
I think.
There we go. Now we're talking.
I think if there is a return to a a sash this year. The stars are just down the sash, right? There's 6 of them down the sash. That's what they're big.
The stars become the sash.
The stars are the sash. Yes,
Yeah,
100%. Okay, cool. Glad we could certainly do that.
Problem solved. All right, next. Who's ready for lunch?
Commercial underground goes, what happened to you? Can't take the trophies out of the cabinet, Hammer. That's right.
Yeah. Again, hand up. I messed that one up. I tried talking myself into it, and sometimes, you can double down, and this is a lesson. When you're wrong, sometimes you come around and say, "Hey, I was wrong. I was wrong. That was me."
It was my idea, and I don't even like it anymore, right? Like it's one of those. That happens all the time. So there's 2 things. It's my idea, and I don't even like it anymore, and it's only stupid if it doesn't work, right? So it's only a stupid idea if it doesn't work. Yours, but it didn't work, so it's stupid. That's how it went. That's fine. Nobody's angry about that. So that's it. Listen, I haven't seen any kit leaks.
The shorts were PEX shorts. PEX shorts may have had something a little different than previous years. It doesn't look like it's the yellow stripes. It looks like it's going to be the bold navy stripes. Look like that's what's happening there.
He has the full socks with the, I think, shorts that come from up above and actually cover. He's fully clothed from top to bottom. There is not a hint of a kit leak in any of these photos or anything that has been released. So that is what you get. The 6 stars, colloquially known now as the missing man formation or the stairway to heaven, on both sides. Stairway to heaven.
Stairway to 7.
Stairway to 7. We did it.
There it is.
We did it, Joe.
We did it, Joe. Shut it down.
Stairway to 7.
All right. You can follow me at Hammer EV9.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now we're done there.
Now you have to say that you released this idea to the LA Galaxy and that they can do it, the whole deal. So
# Stairway to 7.
Stairway to 7. So that's what the LA Galaxy will be wearing, and we are expecting, obviously, a new home kit, new white kit that is coming out this year, and I'm sure it'll have an awesome name, and I'll complain about the name again. That's what, and I won't like it at first, but then it'll grow on me. So
And they also on their press release, they had kind of a cityscape background, and so this is the time of the year where you also start talking about speculating with Riqui Puig. You start speculating. Well, is there a hint that the design, the visual logo with does that have something to do with the jerseys that are being released? So this is again the time for imaginations to run wild.
100%. Stairway to 7 tifo. See, Hammer's been redeemed. You've redeemed yourself right there. I'm glad.
And I'm back, baby.
What an arc. We went all the way around in the circle in like 30 seconds. That was crazy.
If the Galaxy have taught me nothing, over the last couple of years, it's how fast you could swing from we are so done to we are so back, or it's so over to we are so back. It happens like that. It's that quick, folks.
Yep, that's 100%. That's where it is. The final bit of announcement for tonight, just because I know all of you are ready to mark your calendars down, is that the LA Galaxy announced that the kickoff time for the October 31st, that's Halloween for those of you playing the home game, October 31st home match versus Austin FC. So Halloween, it is an afternoon game, a 2 p.m. kickoff, which means if it actually kicks at like... Can we just say it kicks at like 2:07 because it's not going to be some crazy? So we'll say it's 2:07, that we should be out of there by like 5, right? You're gone and out the parking lot by 5, which should get you in home to trick or treat with all of your friends and family. I won't. I will miss it. I will have to catch up to my kids in order to get back to it. But that is the time, 2 p.m. One is, this is sort of getting us I feel like sort of pointed in the right direction for the new schedule, right? That is sort of going to start, which is, one is scarves are going to be actually usable in Los Angeles for a longer portion. Although, if you think about it, we would still be on winter break right now. It basically would have been about a week and a half, 2 weeks after MLS Cup. It would have ended
right in the middle of the winter break,
right? And so we would still be a couple weeks away, possibly, from still getting back into this. And so that's something to look at. I have not heard a date for the LA Galaxy to report yet. I'm sure that we will get that here in the next few days. I doubt it's coming out on a Friday, but expect that sort of maybe on a Monday. CVI is hot and heavy. You need to get your tickets for the 8th, February 8th. That is the one weekend that they will be playing a game. And so I'm going to try to make my way there for that one. And Hammer, hopefully we can get you to make your way there for that one.
I think this might be the year. This might be the year that I come to the CVI and make it happen.
Yeah. So that is in. So CVI is getting ready to kick off. Hopefully it'll be a dry CVI. It's been wet here, man. It's been stupid.
That's what I hear. Yeah. My parents are telling me it's unreasonably rainy over the last few weeks.
Did I tell everybody on the last one that I got a weather station in my backyard, like this little mini weather station? It's my favorite thing in the whole wide world. I just
you know what, that tracks 100%.
Right, 100%.
Yeah,
I get up every morning. I look at the altimeter. I'm sort of like, 299 All right, we're there. That's pretty standard. Wonder what's going to be later today. Some high pressure moving in. Probably going to be up to around 299. Yeah, probably right in there.
There you go.
Yeah.
Install the Doppler. The Doppler's coming next.
Dude,
yeah.
They're
clear in space.
Between they have some of these ADSB receivers, which allows you to pick up the ADSB that comes off of airplanes, and it tells you what altitude they're at, where they're coming from, flight plan information. And like people have modded these so that way any airplane that flies over their house, like it pops up on a screen and it'll tell you where the airplane is, what type it is, where it's going, like the whole deal. So super fun with that. And like mini radars that you can get, or even now an app on your phone that updates like 30 seconds. So your radar's only 30 seconds old is freaking awesome, man. We live in an amazing time to be alive with all this technology. We have
all the gadgets and gizmos. Yeah.
Aplenty. That's what I've heard. That's sort of where we're at right now. So CVI is locked in for us. Maybe we'll have more information on that coming up. But I was already going to be there that weekend, regardless of what happens in the future. So I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see this thing kick off. Live soccer will be played in front of us here in not too long, and that's always a good thing. And
that's what I was saying. We don't know what this team is going to look like until we see them start kicking the ball around. And so that's something, okay, what are these defenders going to look like? What's Hack and Glessness? How are they going to play together? How are we going to line up in some of these CVI matches? And it will kind of give you a hint of what's happening. Going back to the Fan Appreciation Day.
Yes, that is it.
Halloween.
There's still one game after that, by the way. Just want to point that out.
Yeah, it's not Decision Day. Yes. It's not Decision Day. It's Fan Appreciation Day. I do love the idea of showing up to the game in costume, being ridiculous, and then back in my younger days, that would have been a great, just continue the party as the night goes on. I mean, that'd be, you show up in your costume, you're good to go, and then you just continue the party going on. Obviously, it's a different look, now that I got trick-or-treaters that I'm moving around, but I'm actually, oddly enough, almost on the other corner of it where you let the kids go and then the adults kind of go do their own.
Yes.
So I'm almost on the other side of that. So we're I'm almost back to where I was, maybe 15, 20 years ago.
What a time to be alive, man.
What a time to be alive. Absolutely right.
LA Galaxy will be getting ready to report to camp here relatively shortly. We'll have that update and information for you whenever we get back on Monday. Other than that is all your LA Galaxy news for now. You get to enjoy the nice weekend. The Galaxy aren't playing, so they can't lose and ruin your day. Hopefully there's no more major medical news out of it.
I was going to say, how much worse can it get? But I guess people can still get injured. So, how do you get fired on your day off? That was one of those. Someone had that from Friday. So again, just no more injuries. We're going to knock on wood for good vibes over the weekend.
I wasn't even supposed to be here today. Still one of my favorite lines in any movie. That's where we're at. So anything else you want to get to before we get out of here? Are you fine?
No, all my Clerks lines I definitely can't say on the show. So I'm just gonna stay quiet here.
Philip, by the way, to close it out, goes, Josh, we live in a time where we can track a plane's height and speed, but can't get a player's ACL surgery correct. Man, I mean, if you read Kevin's article, if you listened on the podcast, apparently there is a 20% recidivism rate. I don't know how to say that word. I don't know why I attempted it. I thought I could muddle my way through it. But
you were pretty close.
Yeah, it was close enough. If I wouldn't have said anything, people would have been like, yeah, that was probably there. That was probably what I was thinking too. But basically a 20% rate of having to go in and redo the surgery again. Maybe that's 1 in 5. That's not crazy.
It's not nothing. It's all right. We will overcome.
It'll be interesting. Certainly. And we will watch everything going on. All right, Hammer, tell people where they can find you. Let's go.
All right, you can find me on all social media at HammerEV9. That's Hammer EV and the number 9. Go ahead and tag me whenever you do hashtag Stairway to 7.
Stairway to 7. If you're looking for me on any of the socials, it's at Galaxy Podcast, cornerofthegalaxy.com, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, any place, Apple, what is it, like Google Play? I don't know. There's like a million. Just type in Corner of the Galaxy. We'll be there, and we'll be ready to go. We are in Season 18 of Corner of the Galaxy. Not that you would know it by the graphics, because somebody's too lazy to change them yet, but eventually I will get motivated and do that. Season 18 on the way. LA Galaxy getting ready to report for camp, getting ready to head to Coachella Valley Invitational as well. Lots of stuff in store for you in the LA Galaxy's preseason. For Mr. Eric, the Portuguese Hammer Vieira, I'm Josh Pato Guesman. You've been listening, you've been watching to our little Corner of the Galaxy. Have a great one, everybody.
You've been listening to the Corner of the Galaxy podcast on cornerofthegalaxy.com. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Galaxy Podcast. And be sure to check out and subscribe to iTunes, Stitcher, and Facebook by searching for Corner of the Galaxy. Fans, we thank you for listening, and we ask that you be kind and courteous to your neighbors as you leave the podcast. We thank you for joining us and look forward to seeing you again. Until then, I'm Michael Araujo, and on behalf of the entire Corner of the Galaxy crew, goodbye, everybody.